Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we are talking about the hollow moon theory. Yeah, I thought this would be an interesting topic to kind of cover for Spooktober. We know the moon, there is so many things that make this an interesting hypothesis and give it some credence. Um, but it is often connected to the spaceship moon theory that the moon itself is actually a spaceship that ended up there thousands of years ago. Um, but one of the big issues is we don't know how the moon came into being. It wasn't just pulled into the gravity of the Earth and put into rotation. Um, there's a theory that, oh, maybe they were just dust clouds that swirled together and end up forming uh, the Earth and the Moon. But the Moon is not composed the same way the Earth is. We find older material on the surface. And there seems to be far more rare elements and a much higher abundance on the Moon than on Earth. So, yeah, it's making things confusing. Uh, one thing we do know is they, and I'm talking about scientists, I forget what it was, if they just launched a probe or what, but okay, 1969 and 77, seismometers uh, installed on the moon during the Apollo missions recorded moonquakes, and the moon was described to ring like a bell. The Earth has a ring, but it only lasts for a short time. The moon rung for almost an hour. And it's like, okay, yeah. In 1969, Apollo 12 deliberately crashed the ascent stage of the lunar module into the moon's surface. And NASA reported that it rang like a bell for almost an hour. And this leads to the theory that many believe that the moon is hollow. Now, we can't make that assertion. It could be far less dense, but still, it's interesting. Um, but yeah, let's see. The spaceship conjecture is the two Russian uh, scientists hypothesized that the moon was actually a spaceship created by unknown beings and ended up being left in uh, Earth's in the gravity of Earth's rotation, forcing the moon to revolve around the Earth. Now, again, we don't know. It's a hypothesis, a conjecture. No one knows. Uh, the idea of perfect solar eclipses. People talk about the fact that the moon just happens to be far enough away from the Earth that, with the fact that the Earth and the moon are just far enough away from the sun, it makes the moon able to perform eclipses during its revolutions around the Earth. Every so often, of the sun, it eclipses it. So we get, I think, is that solar eclipses? Anyway, sorry about that. Uh, yeah, the moon will eclipse the sun, and it's like it's just the right size to eclipse at the right distance away, and it's like that is almost too convenient. Many people also talk about how the moon is an almost perfect, does almost perfect revolutions around the Earth. You think of uh, the other moons of other planets, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Neptune. Not sure if Uranus has any moons. But yeah, the moons work in more of an elliptical form. Now, to be fair, the moon around Earth does not have a perfect uh, spherical revolution. There is a bit of an ellipsis to it, but people are like, look how almost perfect it is, though. You know, it's far more uh, circular than just an ellipsis. And yeah, it's an interesting thing. Let's see. What else do we have here? This is just the Wikipedia article that talks about it. In popular culture, H.G. Wells uh, released a book in 1901, The First Men in the Moon, and in the book describes fictional insectoids who lived in a hollow moon. Edgar Rice Burroughs, he made a book about the Moon Maid, which uh, dealt with a hollow moon idea. So there's a lot of fiction the story Dano on the Moon by Nikolai Nosov. Um, the book Foundation and Earth by Isaac Asimov. Um, let's see, Mutineer's Moon by David Weber. And then even Moonfall, uh, a recent movie just released in 2022. I remember seeing the advertisements for that. But yeah, uh, this is not so far off. There are uh, historical references to this, and thoughts that, hey, it might be hollow. There's even uh, natives and tribes all over the world that uh, make claims that have taken science a while to confirm. Now, this is an article by Popular Mechanics. The theory came about during the Apollo missions in 1969. And again, we never went back to the moon after, what was it, Apollo 17, 16, 17? Apollo 11 was our first landing on the moon, so. But yeah, um, conspiracy theorists misinterpreted the results of the astronauts' seismic experiments, leading them to believe that the moon was hollow. And again, I mean, there's nothing, it's one of these theories that there's nothing's been fully acceptable. And again, uh, be skeptical, but don't be so skeptical you don't research things further. But yeah, the whole ring like a bell thing is one of the biggest sightings for the hollow moon theory. But I've included some channels. The Y-Files. They do a wonderful video on it. It's a 22-minute video. And then I have uh, a clip from The Unexplained. It's a 5-minute clip and talks about Apollo 12 uncovering the hollow moon. So yeah, this was the second mission. But it's an interesting theory. Uh, if you ever want to dig into it, look into it. There is so much going on. It's like nothing quite fully lines up the way you want it to. And so, while there are some theories or explanations that explain some things, they don't quite connect the way they should. I ain't saying it is magically hollow with aliens or anything in it. It just may be that merely the interior below the crust is of a very um, non-dense and porous material, which again allows for pockets of air in the moon itself to ring. But there's a lot of things. It is, like I said, great uh, hypothesis and theory to check out. But I'll go ahead and end this episode here. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting sources in the description of the video. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.